In a world perpetually drowning in the clamor of voices, the relentless pursuit of attention, and the superficiality of immediate gratification, there exists a profound, almost forgotten truth. The true architects of destiny, the quiet giants of history, were not those who commanded the loudest stages. No, they were the ones who understood the silent architecture of power. This isn't a mere broadcast. This is an invitation to stillness, a journey inward. We're not here to dissect the art of shouting louder, but to unveil the profound mastery of walking softer yet hitting deeper, of becoming the kind of human being whose very presence doesn't demand attention, but like a gravitational force, commands unwavering respect. The Stoics, those ancient masters of self-possession, knew this bedrock truth. They understood that genuine strength doesn't perform for the fleeting gaze of others. It prevails inexorably in the profound sanctuary of silence. So today we embark not on a quest for fleeting applause, but on the timeless endeavor of absolute control. Not the control of others, for that is but a fragile illusion. No, we seek the ultimate dominion, the mastery of ourself. Welcome to the Chill Stoic. Rule 1. Calmness isn't weakness, it's command, the silent citadel. Consider for a moment the crucible of human interaction. The last time you entered a space, perhaps a tense boardroom, a conflicted family gathering, or even the digital arena of a public discourse, and felt an imperceptible shift in the atmosphere. Not because someone uttered a grand pronouncement, but because someone did not. Someone sat, a silent sentinel amidst the storm, unmoved, untouched by the prevailing din. This, my friends, is not weakness. This is the profound, almost spiritual essence of command. It is a dominion that does not emanate from the thunder of orders, but from the quiet, absolute mastery of one's own inner world. Observe humanity when chaos erupts. Most, like withered leaves caught in a tempest, are instantaneously pulled into the maelstrom. Voices rise, tempers flare, egos defend their fragile boundaries. They, in their unwitting surrender, mistake fervent reaction for formidable strength, but the individual who amidst this frenzy maintains their inner equilibrium. They become the unyielding anchor, they become the silent North Star to which all others, consciously or unconsciously, turn, even if no word escapes their lips. For calmness is not the sterile absence of emotion, it is rather the profound ownership of it. It is not a state of numb indifference. It is a state of absolute, unshakable centering. It is the conscious, sovereign choice to breathe deeply when all around you are gasping for air. Epictetus, the indomitable Stoic teacher, once a slave, whose wisdom transcended his chains, articulated this timeless truth with piercing clarity. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. He grasped a fundamental insight that continues to elude the masses today. If the volatile words of another or the capricious whims of external circumstance can effortlessly ignite your anger, your fear, your frustration, then truly you are not in control. You are, in essence, programmable. And here lies the brutal, undeniable truth. Those who harbor the intent to manipulate, to dominate, to exploit, are perpetually observing. They are meticulously scanning for your vulnerabilities, for your buttons, your subtle tells, the almost imperceptible tightening of your jaw when a failure is hinted at, the nuanced shift in your voice when your ego senses a threat. Every spontaneous reaction, every unguarded flicker of emotion becomes a precise map. And once they possess this map, the arduous task of direct confrontation becomes obsolete. They simply guide you with insidious precision toward your own inevitable unraveling. But calmness? Calmness is the ultimate disruptor. It utterly denies them that power. To cultivate calm amidst the inferno is not an innate gift. It is a rigorously forged discipline. It is the deliberate practice of breathing through the sting of an insult, of maintaining a serene countenance through the vice of tension. It is the conscious remembrance that the external cacophony cannot infiltrate your core essence unless you, in an act of profound self-betrayal, invite it in. I recall a seminal negotiation, a clash between two titans of industry. One, a torrent of words, a cascade of booming laughter, selling with an almost aggressive energy. The other, an epitome of stillness, leaned back, uttering little. He interjected but one quiet query delivered with surgical precision. What precisely is the real risk here, beyond the projected gains? A profound silence descended. The first man faltered, overexposed his hand, oversold his narrative. The deal, those seemingly vibrant moments before, was irrevocably lost. He never truly comprehended the silent coup that had occurred. You see, calmness inherently reveals contrast. It, without any overt effort on your part, exposes the naked desperation residing within others. People in their superficiality often conflate stillness with passivity. Let them persist in this profound misunderstanding, for that very misconception becomes your most impenetrable disguise. When you remain unreactive, when you refuse to flinch, they are disoriented. They lack the familiar cues by which to read you, and humanity at its core fears what it cannot decipher. That nascent fear, that, my friend, is your profound, unassailable advantage. In the intricate dance of negotiations, in the delicate tapestry of relationships, in the crucible of conflict, the one who utters the final word often speaks with the loudest impact. The one who deliberately inhales before responding often perceives the hidden truths that others, swept away by their own emotional currents, entirely miss. Genuine calm is not about suffocating your voice, it is about the sovereign choice of when and how to wield it. You need not elevate your tone to amplify your impact. You need not exhaust yourself defending every challenge to your ego, because your power does not originate from fleeting appearances. It blossoms from what you deliberately withhold. And here lies the deeper, more profound Stoic truth. When you liberate yourself from the incessant need to win every trivial exchange, you begin, paradoxically, to win the overarching game. For the true game is not played with a torrent of words. It is played with the supreme discipline of restraint. So, the next time the world or an individual seeks to ensnare you in provocation, pause, not out of fear, but because you are observing, because you are calculating, because in that sacred moment of stillness you have already made an unyielding decision. No one, absolutely no one, holds dominion over you but yourself. That is calmness, and that is command. Rule 2. Learn more by saying less, the art of silent extraction. There exists a profound skill, one rarely cultivated in our boisterous era, not because it is inherently complex, but precisely because it demands silence. And ours is a world perpetually terrified of silence, filling every void with the insistent hume of opinions, the defensive clamor of egos, the endless narratives crafted solely to impress. But the true Stoic, he has no need to impress, he simply listens. You see, with every word spoken, every narrative spun, individuals reveal far more than they consciously intend. They unwittingly lay bare the very essence of their being, what truly resonates with them, what haunts their waking thoughts, what desperate secrets they strive to conceal behind the carefully constructed facade of their chosen words. The vast majority of humanity does not listen to understand. They listen merely to reply, to formulate their next retort, their next anecdote. But the Stoic listens with an almost sacred intent, to extract. There is a principle here, subtle yet sharp as the keenest blade. The more you speak, the more you reveal. The less you speak, the more you learn. When you deliberately choose to sit in profound silence, truly present, not fidgeting, not mentally rehearsing your turn to speak, but simply being, people, in their inherent discomfort with voids, begin to fill that space. They over-explain. They share details utterly unnecessary, and in this unguarded effusion, they hand you their complete blueprint. In the lexicon of modern psychology, this is termed strategic listening. Yet the Stoics practiced this art with unparalleled mastery, millennia before it acquired a name. Consider the timeless wisdom famously paraphrased by Abraham Lincoln. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. This is not merely an epigram of wit. This, my friends, is a fundamental tenet of psychological warfare. For when you speak excessively, you, in effect, hand others the detailed map to the intricate labyrinth of your mind. They discern your core values, they uncover your latent weaknesses, they pinpoint precisely where your sensitivities lie and where your resolve can be most easily shaken. But when you speak less, you transmute into an enigma. You become unpredictable. And unpredictability in any arena of human endeavor is the ultimate power. Allow me to offer a tactical application. Imagine yourself embroiled in a high-stakes negotiation. Your counterpart, confident and aggressive, lays forth a proposal replete with jargon and overt pressure. The common impulse would be to rush a response, to vehemently defend your position, to mirror their assertive energy. But instead, you lean back, a subtle, almost imperceptible shift, and you utter but a single quiet question. What, truly, are you hoping to achieve beyond the stated terms? Then you lapse into silence, not a passive, hesitant silence, but a strategically charged, profound silence, and here resides the magic. They will almost inevitably continue to speak, striving to fill the unexpected void, attempting to sell harder to justify their stance, but in this very process, they will inadvertently expose their deepest priorities. They will reveal what they genuinely fear losing. They will articulate their absolute limits, and you will possess the precise knowledge of where your next move must land, all without having revealed a single card from your own hand. This, my friends, is leverage forged through disciplined restraint. Humanity, in its innate yearning for status, desires to impress those they perceive as powerful. So if you carry yourself with a quiet, unyielding confidence, not the brashness of arrogance, but the solid presence of true inner strength, they will speak, compelled to prove themselves worthy in your eyes, and in that unguarded outpouring they will disclose everything. Here's the profound paradox. The very moment you cease striving to be interesting, to be noticed, that is the moment you become truly powerful. Because now your silence transforms into a profound question that echoes in their minds. What does he know that I don't? What wisdom is she concealing behind that serene gaze? What grand design is he meticulously planning? Let them wonder, let their uncertainty fester, for your mystery is your impenetrable armor, your restraint, your unwavering strategy. Because once they commence speaking, they fall prey to the illusion of control. But the chilling truth is you are already 2, 3, perhaps even 10 steps ahead, simply by the profound act of listening. You do not need to raise your voice. You do not need to flaunt your intellect. All that is truly required is the unwavering discipline to remain still, to listen far longer than they anticipate, and to speak only when your words possess the power to shift the very equilibrium of the room. Power does not always speak. Sometimes it listens profoundly, meticulously, and in that very act it conquers everything. Rule 3. Influence is stronger than control, the unseen hand. Control, it is a creature of noise, it demands visibility, it shouts, it dictates, it micromanages, asserting its dominion through sheer force. But influence is a subtle force. It resides in the profound quiet. It does not feverishly chase power, it becomes the gravitational core around which others, naturally and almost imperceptibly, begin to orbit. Many erroneously conflate control with true strength. They believe that barking orders, that the overt flexing of authority somehow validates their dominance. Yet the stark truth reveals itself. The more forcefully you attempt to impose control, the greater the resistance you invariably generate. The insecure mind demands fervent loyalty. The truly powerful spirit, however, inspires it. The Stoic does not seek blind submission. He seeks alignment. He understands with an almost cosmic clarity that when individuals feel genuinely seen, when they feel inherently safe, when their inherent dignity is respected, they will follow not out of coercion, but out of willing, intrinsic resonance. Look to the annals of history. The most formidable leaders were not those universally feared for their unbridled fury. No, they were immortalized for their indelible presence, for the profound stillness in their eyes, for the sheer, undeniable weight of their carefully chosen words. They did not move with frantic haste. They moved with deliberate, undeniable intention. When you walk into any room, you need not rush to claim the first word. You need not jostle for the central spotlight. You simply sit, you observe, and through the sheer force of your very presence, calm, intensely focused, unapologetically grounded, the very emotional temperature of that room begins to subtly, yet undeniably, adjust to your equilibrium. That is not mere dominance. That, my friends, is gravity. That is quiet power. Control desires to possess people. Influence yearns to elevate them. And here lies the profound paradox. The more relentlessly you strive to control an individual, the more vehemently they will resist your imposition. But the more deeply you seek to understand them, to empathize with their perspective, the more harmoniously they will move with you, sometimes without even consciously recognizing your subtle guidance. Influence is the psychological equivalent of Aikido. You do not meet an opposing force with brute force. Instead, you gracefully redirect it. You guide its inherent energy instead of attempting to crush it. You pose a question instead of issuing an order. You offer a gentle suggestion instead of making a harsh demand. You plant nascent seeds of thought, and with a subtle smile, allow others to believe the blossoming garden was entirely their own ingenious idea. You might utter phrases like, "Have you perhaps considered this alternative option?" or "What might transpire if we collectively explored a different approach?" These are not rhetorical ploys. These are strategic inquiries, not designed to manipulate in a base sense, but to lead without the cumbersome weight of ego. Because here is the deepest, most liberating truth. Humanity does not ultimately follow the loudest voice, they follow the calmest certainty. And that certainty emanates not from a desperate need to control every single outcome, but from an unwavering, intrinsic knowing that you possess the profound capacity to adapt. That whatever tempest may arise, you shall remain grounded, utterly capable, and crystal clear in your purpose. When you embody this philosophy, life unfolds in astonishing ways. People spontaneously bring you vital information you never explicitly requested. They earnestly solicit your opinion, even when you maintain a profound silence. They ascribe profound weight to your carefully chosen words, because they intrinsically understand that you do not squander them. You do not control the room through overt force. You shape the room through the sheer power of your presence. So, what does this profound principle mean in the tangible realm of practice? It means, do not perform for external validation. Do not over-explain your every rationale. Do not aggressively fight for the upper hand in every trivial skirmish. Instead, slow the cadence of your words. Meticulously observe the subtle reactions of others. Allow them to fill the air with their ceaseless pronouncements while you, in quiet solitude, fill your mind with invaluable data. Let your profound stillness subtly suggest that you perceive far more than you articulate. Let your questions pierce with a depth far beyond what their conventional answers anticipate. When others raise their voice in agitation, you, in an act of profound self-mastery, lower yours. When they push with aggressive force, you gracefully step aside, not as an act of surrender, but as a strategic maneuver to reposition yourself for ultimate advantage. That, my friends, is influence. It is the subtle yet potent art of becoming the unseen hand that propels everything forward without ever needing to be seen doing it. The Stoic does not impose power, he radiates it. And when power is experienced, deeply felt, without ever being forced, it transcends the ephemeral, it becomes permanent. Rule 4. Play the long game, the unfolding tapestry of time. Look around you, my friends. Observe the ceaseless motion of our age. The world is caught in a frantic sprint, a mad dash to acquire fleeting wealth. A desperate scramble for ephemeral praise, an insatiable craving for followers, for likes, for immediate validation. Always in a relentless rush, yet paradoxically, rarely arriving anywhere of true, lasting significance. And when you, in your deliberate choice, are the only one walking slowly, moving with purposeful calm, a subtle unease might begin to stir within. You might question your path. You might wonder if you are somehow doing it wrong, falling behind. But the Stoic knows a truth as ancient as time itself. Speed, in and of itself, is utterly meaningless if you are running toward the wrong, ephemeral finish line. We exist within a culture utterly addicted to the now, to the instantaneous dopamine hit of validation, to the facile allure of quick wins. But what, I ask you, transpires when the intoxicating noise inevitably fades? When the fervent applause dies down to a chilling silence? When the fickle multitude of followers disperses into the ether? Most, having built their edifices on foundations of sand, simply collapse. For they built with haste, not with profound depth. They planted nascent seeds, only to, in their impatient folly, unearth them the very next morning, frantically scrutinizing for signs of instantaneous growth. But the Stoic, he plants, he waters with diligent care, and then, with an almost divine patience, he waits, he plays the long game, because genuine enduring power is never ever rushed. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor who governed an empire yet sought dominion only over himself, offered this timeless counsel: don't waste time worrying about what others think of you. Be busy with becoming who you're meant to be. This profound truth carries an implicit directive. You do not need to parade every step. You do not need to broadcast every meticulously crafted plan. You build in unwavering silence, because the grand edifice you are constructing is not merely for today, it is for the long sweep of decades. Here is a truth most are unwilling to confront. Those who relentlessly pursue immediate success are often, at a deeper level, desperately running from something within themselves. But when you choose to build slowly, meticulously, with deliberate intention, you are not running from anything. You are, with an almost geological certainty, rising. Reflect upon the most influential figures woven into the tapestry of history, the profound philosophers, the strategic generals, the visionary founders of empires. They were rarely the loudest voices in the bustling forum. They were not sprinting to be conspicuously seen. They were instead meticulously constructing something far grander than ego: legacy. The long game is, by its very nature, a quiet pursuit. It is replete with countless moments for which no one will ever applaud. The solitude of early mornings, the agonizing weight of hard choices, the profound, often unseen sacrifices that no one else will ever fully comprehend. But it is precisely within these unglamorous moments that your enduring advantage is forged. Allow others to chase their short-lived status. You, in your quiet wisdom, pursue long-term sovereignty. Let them feverishly strive for a fleeting victory today. You, with calm resolve, prepare to secure an undeniable triumph for a lifetime. Let me illustrate the essence of the long game in the vivid theater of real life. An individual, in a moment of unguarded impulsivity, hurls an insult at you during a public meeting. The conventional response would be to retaliate instantly, to deliver that sharp, clever retort designed to sting, and perhaps, for a fleeting second, you might win the moment. People might chuckle. You might experience a transient surge of triumph, but in that very act, you would have willingly stepped into their emotional arena. You would have allowed the encounter to become intensely personal, and worse, you would have inadvertently revealed your vulnerability, your buttons. But the Stoic? He does not grasp at the bait. He pauses, he smiles, a serene, almost imperceptible curve of the lips. He remains utterly calm, and by this simple yet profound act of self-mastery, he elevates himself to the higher ground. He fundamentally shifts the dynamic of the entire interaction. Because silence in the face of provocation, that is not an indication of weakness. That, my friends, is the ultimate frame control. You did not merely win the fleeting moment, you won the very equilibrium of the room. Herein lies the core principle of the long game. You are not striving to be momentarily impressive today. You are meticulously striving to become undeniable over the grand expanse of time. Do you wish to comprehend the essence of being truly unstoppable? It is the individual who possesses the profound capacity to wait without succumbing to bitterness. It is the individual who tirelessly invests in their craft when no one else is observing. It is the individual who assiduously learns and absorbs wisdom when others are preoccupied with performing for the crowd. For when the fleeting lights of transient fame inevitably dim and the capricious trends of the moment fade into oblivion, the one who relentlessly played the long game will still be standing. And by then he will require no elaborate explanation for his ascent. His very life, in its undeniable trajectory, will become the profound answer. Rule 5. Be unshakable. Master your emotions, the inner fortress. Emotion. It is raw energy. It is not, by its very nature, your inherent enemy, unless, in your ignorance, you allow it to become your master. And therein lies the pervasive human predicament. Most individuals do not wield their emotions as powerful instruments. Instead, their emotions, like untamed beasts, wield them. One sharp, cutting comment and they detonate. One fleeting moment of fear and their resolve crumbles. One perceived glance of disrespect and they are willing to incinerate every bridge, to raise their own peace simply to validate a fragile point. But here is the foundational, unyielding truth. If your inner tranquility, your profound peace, is contingent upon the fleeting whims or the capricious conduct of others, then, without question, you have already lost the most vital battle. The Stoics, those sagacious architects of inner freedom, grasped this more profoundly than any philosophy before or since. They did not advocate for the suppression of emotion. No, they urged a meticulous, almost surgical study of it. They examined the tumultuous landscape of the human heart with the dispassionate precision of a surgeon's scalpel, carefully, intentionally. For they knew with an unshakable conviction the timeless words of Marcus Aurelius, "If you are disturbed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Let that profound truth truly penetrate your being. It is not the external event itself that causes your suffering. It is your belief about that event, your internal estimation of its meaning, and what you choose to believe. You possess the inherent sovereign power to change. When another individual, through their words or actions, seeks to provoke you, understand this. They are not, in reality, controlling you. You are, in an act of unconscious capitulation, handing them the remote control to your nervous system. You are granting them the ultimate authority to dictate your emotional state, your inner energy. That, my friends, is not strength. That is, in its essence, surrender. Do you aspire to wield genuine power? Then cease the reactive scramble. Begin the disciplined practice of observing. Do not absorb the venom of an insult. Instead, label it. Track its fleeting passage. Then, with an act of profound liberation, release it. This is not self-denial, this is domination, the ultimate dominion over the sole battlefield that truly matters, your internal state. Do you mistakenly believe that by shouting in anger you are being authentic or real? No, you are merely being predictable. You are being programmable, and the manipulators of this world, the exploiters of human frailty, adore individuals such as you. They possess no need to outsmart your intellect. They simply need to trigger your emotional buttons, and then, with chilling efficiency, you will, in your reactive frenzy, self-destruct. You will obliterate your own credibility, shatter your own peace, merely to achieve a hollow, fleeting, even score. But the Stoic, he does not take the bait. He breathes, he watches, and in that solitary breath, a moment of profound self-recollection, he reclaims his unassailable power. There is a compelling narrative of an ancient general ambushed in the dead of night. His soldiers, seized by primal panic, screamed, their cries echoing the pervasive chaos. Yet the general, in an act of almost defiant tranquility, sat quietly boiling tea. An officer, frantic with alarm, shouted, "General, we are under attack!" The general, his gaze unwavering, replied with profound calm, "I make better decisions with a clear mind. and warm hands. Later, having allowed the inner storm to subside, he led a flawless counterattack, not because he reacted first, but because he waited until the tempest passed within before confronting the tempest without. That, my friends, is not weakness. That is unyielding command. Do you seek to truly win in this intricate game called life? Then mastering your emotions is not an optional endeavor. It is the very bedrock of survival. It is the sole pathway to perceive with crystal clarity amidst the obfuscating fog of conflict. For fear inevitably narrows your vision, anger inexorably blinds your reason, ego in its insatiable hunger distorts your very reality. But calmness? Calmness is pure clarity. It empowers you to read the subtle currents of the room, to anticipate the precise movements of the opposition. But choose the opportune moment for decisive action, rather than being passively dragged into a moment not of your choosing. You do not become emotionless, you become selective. You learn with a quiet wisdom precisely when to engage and when to allow the impetuous fools to exhaust themselves in self-defeating struggles. And that, my friends, is the profound shift. You need not prove anything to anyone. You need not exhaust yourself attempting to match every act of disrespect. You need not clap back to every trivial provocation on social media, because your inherent value, your unassailable self-worth, is not and never has been on the table for external validation. It has already been irrevocably decided by you. So the next time they seek to provoke, you will not flinch. You will, perhaps, offer a serene smile, because you will know with profound certainty that they have merely revealed how easily they can be moved. And you are in the magnificent fortress of your self-mastery, unshakable. Rule 6, your silence is your strategy, the invisible ascendant. In a world perpetually ensnared by the siren call of self-promotion, by the relentless urge to display and to broadcast, your chosen silence transcends mere quietude. It becomes your most impenetrable shield, and your deliberate invisibility, your most formidable, potent weapon. Today's society is afflicted by an insatiable compulsion for broadcast. What they are doing, what they fervently plan to achieve, what they desperately yearn for you to believe about them. But here, my friends, is the unvarnished Stoic truth. The more you reveal, the more you, in an unwitting act of self-sabotage, surrender your profound advantage. The ancient warriors, masters of the battlefield, grasped this. The consummate strategist, the grand master of the game, understood this. And the truly wise in every epoch continue to live by this enduring principle. When you choose to move in silence, to operate beneath the radar of public scrutiny, you effectively deny your potential adversaries the chance to predict your next move. You strip away their ability to mount a preemptive resistance, for they simply never perceived your approach. Do you seek true leverage? Then do not trumpet your next monumental endeavor. Do not flaunt your burgeoning ambition. Do not, in the folly of ego, post every incremental step of your progress. Silence disarms the opposition. Surprise, in its devastating efficiency, finishes the job. Marcus Aurelius, in his profound wisdom, penned words that resonate through the millennia. Work in silence. Let success be your noise. Why? Because silence, my friends, is your ultimate protection. It shields you from the corrosive acid of envy, from the insidious machinations of sabotage, from the ceaseless, debilitating hume of distraction. It meticulously constructs a kind of fog, an impenetrable veil, and within that profound fog you are unburdened, utterly free to move, to evolve, to grow, without interference, without external impediment. Those who operate with loud proclamations invite predictable resistance. Those who cultivate quietude, however, build resilience, a fortitude that withstands the tests of time. I assure you of this. Every high-level operator in any domain of human endeavor has, at a master's level, cultivated the exquisite art of going dark, of undertaking the most vital foundational work unseen, of meticulously sharpening their edge deep underground, while the rest of the world, in its insatiable need for validation, performs tirelessly in the glaring spotlight. However, if our real and when the fated moment arrives, They do not grandiosely announce their success. They simply arrive. Silence is not, as some mistakenly believe, a void of emptiness. It is, in its purest form, concentrated energy. Every conscious decision to refrain from speaking, to withhold an immediate response, is an act of storing immense power. You observe more deeply. You hear the subtle nuances that others, caught in their own self-generated noise, entirely miss. Allow me to illustrate how this profound principle manifests in the tangible, often brutal real world. You are meticulously planning something of monumental significance, a career transition, the launch of an audacious venture, a transformative personal shift. The average individual, driven by a primal need for validation or a misplaced belief in external support, proclaims their intentions to all who will listen. They yearn for applause before the deed is done, but in doing so they invite the insidious seeds of doubt, the harsh winds of judgment, and worst of all, the pervasive, soul-sapping force of distraction. But you utter nothing. You deliberately vanish from the superfluous clamor of external noise. You build painstakingly in the deep shadows. You refine, you sharpen, and when you finally emerge into the light, you are not seeking fleeting validation. You are presenting undeniable results. And that, my friends, is beyond contention. It is unassailable. This is what I refer to as the gray zone. It is quiet, it is often lonely, it is more often than not thankless. But it is precisely within this crucible of solitude that true legends are forged. Most individuals lack the fortitude to remain there. They crave the intoxicating elixir of attention far too early. But you rigorously train yourself to embrace misunderstanding, to allow them to mistakenly believe you are accomplishing nothing, while in truth you are becoming everything. Your silence is not an absence. It is a profound, almost ethereal presence, undetectable by the masses, yet utterly unstoppable in its trajectory. The greatest predators in nature do not unleash their thunderous roar before they strike. They seamlessly blend into their environment. They wait, and when their decisive move finally comes, it is, for their unsuspecting prey, already far too late. So, remain low. Let your profound silence be your impenetrable shadow. Let your diligent, quiet work be your sole, resounding voice. And when the world finally perceives you, let them wonder, with a genuine bewilderment, how they could have possibly missed you all this time. Because while they were feverishly competing for a fleeting moment in the spotlight, you were meticulously mastering the profound darkness. And now you own the light. Rule 7. Outsmart, don't outshine. The alchemist of assent. In rooms overflowing with the cacophony of competing egos, it is rarely the loudest voice that ultimately triumphs. No, it is the one you utterly failed to see coming, the one who remained profoundly quiet, the one who meticulously observed, the one who, with a subtle smile, allowed everyone else to bask in their perceived cleverness, while calculating every strategic move in the hushed sanctuary of silence. There exists a timeless law of power, ancient and at times brutally unforgiving. Never outshine the master. A profound axiom meticulously articulated in Robert Greene's definitive work, The 48 Laws of Power. Why, you might ask, is this so? Because when you radiate with too much brilliance, when your light casts an undeniable shadow, you do not paradoxically awaken admiration. You, instead, ignite the corrosive flame of insecurity. And insecurity, when residing within the wrong individual, particularly those in positions of authority, can cost you everything. The Stoic comprehends this with an almost visceral clarity. He harbors no need for superficial applause. He craves no fleeting credit. For his game is not for the ephemeral moment. His game is for unassailable position. Outsmart, don't outshine. This profound directive means graciously permit others to occupy the dazzling spotlight. Allow them to bask in their perceived importance. Even if it serves your grander purpose, allow them to claim the very credit that is rightfully yours, if it ensures your protection, your unseen ascent. Or attention, my friends, is a double-edged sword, gleaming with both allure and peril. Yes, it brings the intoxicating elixir of praise, but it also invariably attracts the corrosive acid of envy, the piercing gaze of scrutiny, and the insidious machinations of sabotage. Therefore, do not present yourself as a threat. Instead, embody the solution. Make others genuinely feel that your presence is intended to aid their triumph, even as you are quietly, masterfully steering the entire ship. Consider this scenario. In a corporate setting, there is an individual who consistently dominates every meeting, always speaking, always overtly leading. He desires with an almost desperate hunger for everyone to acknowledge his command. Let him. Meanwhile, you, in your quiet wisdom, offer a subtle, insightful observation. You offer strategic support, bolstering his publicly declared positions. You let him feel respected, even admired. And imperceptibly, little by little, you become profoundly trusted. You become utterly indispensable. You evolve into the one they instinctively turn to when the stakes are highest, not because you were the loudest voice, but because you were undeniably, consistently effective. You had no need to overtly shine. You meticulously positioned yourself so that when others, perhaps through their own hubris or missteps, inevitably faltered, you were already standing, rock solid, ready to ascend. That, my friends, is not manipulation. That is the supreme mastery of ego. For here lies the most insidious, perilous truth. Your own ego, if left unchecked, will inevitably betray you. It will whisper insidious temptations. They are stealing your spotlight. They are grossly underestimating your genius. You must show them precisely who you are. Do not, I implore you, succumb to its siren call. For the very moment you succumb to the urge to overtly prove yourself, you completely reveal yourself. And when others perceive your full hand too prematurely, they immediately shift into a defensive posture. They begin fiercely protecting their perceived turf. They cease in essence to aid your ascent. The Stoic does not feel the compulsive need to win every trivial argument. He harbors no inner compulsion to remind others of his intellect. He allows results to speak their undeniable truth. And if, in the complex dance of human interaction, someone else claims the fleeting credit, so what? The ultimate desired outcome still, in its essence, belongs to him. You do not require external recognition, you require reach. You do not crave fleeting validation, you require leverage. Let them underestimate you. That, in its profound simplicity, is the most invaluable gift they can bestow upon you. Let them greedily grasp at the fleeting glory. That, in its very essence, is their distraction. For while they are frantically chasing the ephemeral applause, you, in your quiet, unwavering resolve, are meticulously building power. Genuine power does not announce its arrival with the blare of trumpets. It arrives with a profound, undeniable presence, and it departs leaving behind an indelible, transformative impact. So when in their bewildered curiosity they inquire, "Why were you not louder? Why did we not see you coming?" you will simply, serenely smile. Because you will know, with an unassailable certainty, a truth that echoes through the ages. Loud fades, smart lasts. This is the way of the quiet giant. My dear friend, listen closely to these final whispers of truth. You were never predestined to be loud, to be frantic, to chase the fleeting, deceptive glare of attention like a moth drawn to a destructive flame. No, you were born for a profound stillness, to embody meticulous precision, to be the unwavering calm amidst every raging storm, the formidable force no one perceives, no one anticipates, until, in the grand unfolding of events, it is far, far too late to even contemplate resistance. The 7 Stoic rules, the bedrock principles you have absorbed today, they are not mere hacks. They are not ephemeral trends of the moment. They are principles forged in the crucible of time, carved in stone, designed for those who are utterly finished with living life by capricious impulse and unequivocally ready to live by profound, unwavering intention. For let me tell you this, a truth that pierces through the noise. The loudest voice in any room is, more often than not, the weakest. The one who feverishly seeks to control is, paradoxically, the one most profoundly out of control. And the one who steadfastly plays the long game, quietly, relentlessly, with unyielding determination, wins. Every single time. You do not need to convince a single soul. You do not need to exhaust yourself in futile acts of self-defense. You do not need to raise your voice to be heard. All that is truly required is the unassailable command over your own mind. That, my friends, is where genuine power resides. Not in fleeting domination, but in unwavering discipline. Not in transient performance, but in enduring presence. So, here lies your ultimate challenge. Not to ascend by shouting louder than the rest, but by mastering the profound depths of silence. Not to outshine anyone in the dazzling, temporary glow, but to outlast everyone, enduring, evolving, ascending. This is not mere motivation. This is not fleeting hype. This is your code now, your infallible inner compass. A profound way of life for the select few who choose to walk the quiet path, and who by their very being rule without ever needing the gilded trappings of a crown. Because the strongest do not explain, they execute. If this message, these ancient truths, stirred something profound within you, if it rekindled the flame of power you've always possessed but perhaps rarely dared to truly wield, then indeed it is time. Time to move differently. Time to act with strategic intent. Time to cease merely being seen and begin to be undeniably, profoundly felt. For you are not here to merely impress. You are here to impact. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for listening to the Chill Stoic. If this episode ignited a new fire within your spirit, please share it. Send it to someone who talks too much but listens far too little. And if you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to the podcast wherever you find your inspiration, and in the comments, share with me which of these 7 timeless rules are you committed to mastering, starting today. This profound journey is not for the faint of heart. This is for the few who walk quietly, yet whose footsteps echo forever.